Hey, Pankapsamida. Steve, how's it going? Hope you're having a great week. Everything is status quo here in dynamic Busan, but it was a great conversation you had last time. A little bit heartfelt there, which is always appreciated, and you brought up some really good points with some of your frustrations and some of the things about what's going to happen when you leave, when you say goodbye, whenever that day comes, being that you're looking at your last year contract. And it's ironic because I just had this conversation that very day with my co-teacher, and that was kind of similar, reminding me of that. And she was saying, I look at the students today, and they have so much at their disposal compared to when I was a student. She said, when I was a student, it was pretty much look at some words, put them on a piece of paper, and if I felt that I could do that, then I felt like I was moving forward. I was learning language and everything. And that brought up this whole conversation of, well, see, that's kind of like the issue, right? Because she's a homeroom teacher. She came into the new role. She could really barely speak the language. She's come a long way. But I said, there's a perfect example. You felt comfortable with it, but it wasn't really there. And I said, it kind of brings to light the fact that sometimes it seems like the emphasis is placed on making a test grade as opposed to speaking English, which is really the number one goal of all of this, is to speak English. And I could probably put hundreds of words on the board, and even for some of these elementary school students, they can identify them all, no problem. But to meet them in the hallway and have the most basic of conversations, it's not going to happen. Same thing in middle school, but these kids have volumes of vocabulary in their brain, which is still really good. And we were having that conversation. She said, "Well, I think that we just need to study more and more vocabulary, more grammar." And I was like, "Well, you could do that." But I brought up the example. I said, look, the military in the United States, when they need, special forces, or if they have a project or something like that where they need to go gather intelligence in another culture, they just put them down in a room and do what's called the audio linguistic uh, process, I guess you would call it, which is basically listen, repeat, listen, repeat, listen, repeat. No grammar, no sentence, and then they can speak the language and they go out. I said, you can vocabulary and grammar yourself to death, but it's never going to translate into spoken language. I said if you were to teach your students how to speak fluently and then backfill and pick up a book and show them the vocabulary and show them the grammar, they would say, "This is stupid. This is so easy. I know how to speak all this." So I understand your frustration. It's just the method that they're taking here in Korea. At the end of our conversation, I said to her, I said, "But that's okay. With me, that's okay. Because if Korea could speak English, by and large, then I wouldn't be here." And she laughed almost, hysterically for a moment there. I said, look, if I try to go get a job teaching English in the Philippines, that's not going to happen, right? Because they speak English. So that's the whole goal. No one cares if they can pass a grammar exam or anything like that. They can speak English. So great points on that, and I understand where you're coming from. And here I am. I'm in my third year now. My third year contract got extended by 6 months to bring everybody uh, with a starting date of February, the beginning of the school year. I was an August intake, so I have 6 months left now on my current contract. Brings me out to February. And I think it's in this time frame between now and February where I'm really going to put the old college try into seeing what's out there. Um, on the other, I think different from you, I with the elementary school kids, I really do enjoy working with them. They're kids, so they all don't want to be there. Maybe some of your college uh, students want to be there, but they're just not interested in English. But all the students don't want to be in class in elementary school. But it's still a lot of fun. They're just really cute, the little ones, and you see the older ones starting to develop mentally and stuff like that, and some of the conversations they try to have. It's like, wow, where are you thinking that stuff up? And it's really rewarding. Most of them are just bundles of like positive energy, and sometimes I'm like, all right, so what's the next phase? I mean, the reality is anyone could probably stay teaching English for their whole life. I mean, if they wanted to. There's just gobs of jobs everywhere, from uh, your public school all the way up, Hagwons left and right, teaching subject-specific uh, English, like you said, all the way up to university, and then business English and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes, though, I'm like, geez, how long am I going to do this here? Should I be staying here? And a lot of that has to do with a lot of that. What's the next phase? It has to do with, where do I want to live? Is Korea a place that I want to live? I see a lot of guys come here, and a lot of guys want to come here and meet that Korean girl or woman. They think it's going to be better on the other side, and hey, sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's not, and most of the time it's just the same. And they meet someone, they settle down, and probably during that time they're saying, wow, this is a great opportunity. I'm making money, or I've got this job, I got this girlfriend, soon to be my wife, and then so on and so forth. Then they find out that they're stuck in Korea, and it's like, well, what do you do now? And I see some of these guys, and they're frustrated, they're stuck. They've kind of lived out their opportunities and stuff like that, and they have to stick with the path that they're on. Now, dating and marriage to a Korean was never on my radar. Now, I'm not saying that I had always counted it out. It was just never on my radar. It's not something that I ever set out to do. I mean, if I were to pick a country to go to find a wife or something, I mean, I'd probably be in Moscow or something like that, in Russia somewhere, or Brazil, or something like that. But I digress. That's totally separate. But those are some of the factors that a lot of people look at. Marriage. For me, one of the big things is, as I look through the job opportunities around the globe, Korea still sticks out as one of the better opportunities financially. It's you get, in terms of ESL teaching, you get a very decent salary, almost no bills, a free apartment, great medical insurance and dental insurance. It's all wrapped up in the one. It's national insurance. It's fantastic, actually. Now, to duplicate that, I mean, there's one-off things going on. Kazakhstan, maybe some of these larger cities pay pretty decent. The Middle East always comes up in conversation with paying more. But you're in the Middle East, and that's not a shot at the Middle East or any of the people there or anything like that. But when you go to the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, or even even Abu Dhabi or things like that, especially in Saudi Arabia, you're going to be living in a compound. I mean, there's a reason for that. There's safety issues there. I mean, there's a government contractor that back in the early 2000s, they had terrorists drive into their compound and blow up a truck and, killed a bunch of people, these extremists. So that's why you have these compounds. And it's a strict Muslim country. There's a lot less freedoms there that you would have here in Korea. So that's another thing. I'm getting long-winded here. But for me, these next 6 months, I'm going to be looking at places like Hong Kong public school, Singapore public school. I'm always open to Japan, maybe some of the bigger cities in China, but the thing with China, you just never know what you're going to get, and there's a lot of pollution there. I am going to be looking at the Middle East, even though I just said what I was going to say. Reason being, I'm not 25 anymore, and I have to keep in mind some of the financial things for the long run, so I have to be mindful of that. And I've got responsibilities back home, and I just need to be always thinking of that thing, as well as where I want to live. I mentioned Brazil. Brazil would probably, if I had a choice of where I wanted to live most, it would be Brazil. There's no question in my mind. I mean, that's the place that I want to go. Thing is, teaching opportunities there are very difficult to come by. They don't pay much, but they're very difficult to come by. Maybe Russia too. Maybe I'll meet the next Anna Kournikova or something like that, and my dreams will come true. Anyway, this was long-winded, but more power to you, Steve. I think subject-specific things for you would be great. I would look at um, sites like Serious Teachers and Joy Jobs and things like that because they have a lot of stuff out there for subject-specific economics, math, science, biology. The biology, I'm sorry, natural sciences, music. I've seen stuff for some media and things like that. So maybe something will be out there for you in another country, maybe in Korea. Anyway, this is too long, but that's what I have to say about that. Good luck to you, Steve. Whatever it is, we'll keep each other posted. See you next time. Peace out.